The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your gracious host, Mike Azzolina, and I am joined tonight by a man who is just as annoyed with the not-so-hot stove as I am. Regsy, baby. I wish we were back with some news, but we're not.
I know. Why does it take so long?
Because baseball sucks with the offseason.
I just don't understand why it takes so long.
It's the worst offseason in any of the major sports.
But has anybody
bad.
Has anybody come out with why? Like, there has to be a reason. I mean,
it's because there's no salary cap, so they just like hold out and hold out and hold out.
The NBA is just a bunch of tampering. So like everyone signs the minute after the minute after the offseason starts. People are announcing contracts.
And the NFL flies too. Like, because there's like there is like a tampering period.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not asking deals to be made within a day, a week, but like something needs to be done.
Yeah. Why?
Like there needs to be some sort of deadline.
It takes too long.
It really does. It really
everyone
does.
is all jacked up. So like you would think they want to make something. I wonder where the weighting has come from. If it's more on the player side or if it's more on the GM
I think it's
side.
I think it's the agents.
Yeah, it might be that. That's probably a good point.
I mean, when you think about like Scott Boras,
yeah,
right. It's just I don't know. It's just frustrating as a fan. It really, really is.
It is.
And
you're right.
And
you're absolutely right.
Now we haven't had in person. We're just jumping right in tonight, guys. No toiling around. No, we're just jumping in tonight. But we haven't had live winter meetings since before the pandemic.
Yeah, someone else was talking about that and how everyone was that's usually like the sort of kickoff point.
Right. And well, if you think about the 2019 winter meetings, like Garrett Cole signed there.
Yeah.
Like there were a bunch of dudes who signed during the meetings.
Right.
So, there is a lot of me, Regs, that like hopes we get this moving next week. Cause like we need some movement, dude.
Something will happen. I don't know what, but something will happen.
I mean, it's got to, because eventually you hit January and I mean, you've got like a month until spring training.
Yeah. Right.
So it's gotta get going. And I do think once Aaron Judge falls, I think the rest of the pieces start to fall. And the Yankees leaked their offer today.
They did.
8 for $300.
That's right.
I think that's because he is not going to take it and they want it out there what it is.
Yeah. They're trying to get out in front of it.
Yeah. So, what did I predict? What did I say? I said 8 for $350. So I think if the Giants come close to that, right?
Yeah,
I think he's the piece that moves it all.
Yeah, everyone's waiting to see where he goes because that makes a lot of decisions for other people. It sort of sets the market. It does all those things. That's how it always goes. You wait for especially in baseball, they always wait for that big shoe to drop first, and then everyone just sort of falls in line. In all the other sports, it's just like everything just goes.
Right.
And the other sports have figured out that the off season is sort of just as important to keeping your sort of cycle of attention going as it is in the regular season or even the playoffs. And baseball just refuses to like accept this fact and do anything about it. They're just like, no,
so
we won't take advantage of people coming off the World Series and literally free agency starting that next Thursday. It was 5 days between when the World Series ended and free agency opened. And nothing has happened.
Nothing.
Like the NBA free agency, it literally turns the NBA into a year-round sport because something is always happening.
Right.
NFL the same way. Baseball just has not figured out that they need to take, like, this is part of baseball. This is part of your product. The offseason is a part of your product. And like signing players and all that stuff like piques people's interest. So like I don't know what they can do about it, but they got to do something to push like something happening sooner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, I don't know if they'll ever put a deadline on it because the union would go crazy.
Yeah.
But it's just slow. And I like when we signed Bryce on my birthday.
Yeah.
March.
Right.
Like last year, the Castellano signing was late. Like all this stuff, it just breaks late, and it's really, really hard to get excited about the offseason the same way that we do the other sports. So again, we're starting on a negative note, and we're not going to get much more positive because we're about to talk about Bryce. But I do think that something needs to happen. Something needs to happen. So,
yeah.
you know, hopefully once Judge signs, and I think he'll be announced early next week.
Yeah.
Then you've got the shortstops because you know the Giants are going to move on a shortstop if they miss on Judge.
Right.
They can move on a shortstop if they hit on Judge.
Yeah.
You know, it won't be a Turner, I would think, but you know, I could see them going after Dansby if Judge goes there. So, yeah, I think once that first big piece tumbles, then we'll see the rest come not so long after. So, yeah, let's see what happens. It's been boring so far. Only a couple of deals have been signed, nothing major, but you know, a couple of guys off of the block early. But let's talk about something that
our boy Zach officially gone.
How about it? Yeah, before we get into Bryce, Zach Eflin, for those of you that haven't seen it, 3 years, $40 million to the Tampa Bay Rays. I said to Regs off the air, that means he won't get hurt for the next 3 years, and he'll probably be a Cy Young contender.
Yep. In Tampa, because that's just what they do with pitchers.
It's what they do with pitchers.
Yeah,
it is truly what they do. It's unbelievable.
Good for him. That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah, for sure. Really good for him.
Yeah. Really good for him.
I mean, there was no way the Phillies were giving him that.
No.
Not with the other needs that they have. I read though, Adam Schaefer, friend of the show, sent me a tweet, and he is like, "This is really sad," and it's true. It is. That this deal for $40 million over 3 years is the largest free agent contract in Rays history.
Yeah, someone tweeted that too, that a $40 million contract is like a $500 million contract to anybody else.
I mean,
the Rays.
The Rays, Zach Eflin is the Rays' largest free agent contract ever.
Isn't that wild? And they just keep making the playoffs though.
The team was established in 1993.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
Oh, it wasn't 93. I'm wrong about that. It was later. But nonetheless.
But still.
Actually, was it 93? No, the Marlins and the Rockies were 93. I don't remember when the Rays were. I'd have to look it up. But are you kidding me?
Crazy.
How about it?
Good for Zach.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I'll miss him.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
1998.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll definitely miss Zach. Good years for us. Obviously, injuries always plagued him here in Philly. So hopefully he continues to have a good career. I will say this. If you're looking, this is a semi-long-term deal, so he's set for a little bit. If he was going to go with a 1-year deal, the AL East was probably not the place to go.
Yeah, right.
But especially because he has to pitch to Toronto how many times a year.
Mm-hmm.
But, knowing that he's got a 3-year deal worth $40 million, good for him. Zach, best of luck to you. We'll miss you. We'll see you at some point next year because we play everybody. So, we'll see you at some point, buddy.
Again,
Bryce,
Cy Young Award winner Zach Eflin.
Yeah, Cy Young Award winner Zach Eflin. We'll steal it. Bryce Regs.
I know.
So how are we feeling about it?
So I tweeted from the pod account sort of after the news came out. I think off of Salisbury initial tweet. He was kind of the first one who had it.
Right.
Just something to the effect of, look, any time without Bryce sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But I was happy that they just fixed the problem. Because look, he still has 7 years left on his contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a very long time. It's a bummer, obviously, because we've seen this team without Bryce Harper in the lineup. It's not good. It's not, to say the least.
Well, they played fine without him this year.
Yes, that's right. And
they played fine.
And hopefully with Schwarber doing his thing, Castellanos hopefully returning to the hitter that he can be, whatever potential shortstop we bring in, Bryson Stott, with another year, with a whole year of, major league experience under his belt. Brandon Marsh, like we've said, getting a whole offseason with Kevin Long. All those things should contribute to them still being fine. But Bryce is the spoon that stirs the drink. So it sucks that he's gonna have to miss time. I'm happy that they just ended up fixing the problem so that he can do his thing. He can come back as a DH, and eventually he goes back to right field. Like, it's gonna happen, and we shouldn't have to worry about this elbow popping up again. Knock on wood, but generally with position players, when you get this done, because you don't have the stress of like pitching and that many throws and all that.
Right.
Like, this shouldn't be an issue moving forward once he is fully healed.
Right.
So I'm glad that that's the case, but it's still a bummer that we're going to miss him for a significant portion of the season.
That's so right. When you say they're saying All-Star break is by the All-Star break, which I feel like is fair verbiage. When you say by the All-Star break, that leaves you any point up to the All-Star break that you're hoping he's back, barring major setback. Now, originally, the first news that was dropped was he would be ready by the end of May by May for competitive pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that excited a lot of people, but what you have to remember is he's missing his entire spring training.
Yeah.
So he's going to need like an extended spring sort of thing down in Clearwater where he's going to hit minor leaguers, like rookies, like just drafted kids, right? So he's going to need some time there doing that. And then you're hoping by the end of May, like third week of May, beginning of June, that he's starting his rehab in the minors. If Bryce moves as fast as I think Bryce can move, you might get him back the week before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
But at that point, just let him have the All-Star break. So I think it is a realistic timeline. Bryce is going to want to get back. But if you get a guy like Trey Turner, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that offense is going to be replaced. Not in totality, but enough.
It allows a lot of other things to happen within the lineup.
Yes. You miss Bryce, but you don't. It doesn't kill you by getting a Trey Turner or Carlos Correa.
Yeah.
Those types of guys, it's fine. Again, missing Bryce Harper is missing Bryce Harper, but getting Bryce Harper back to play right field when it matters is also really important.
Yes.
And we had talked on a previous show about some outfielders who could be of value to them if something like this should happen. And, we named some pretty good guys. We named Mitch Haniger, who apparently is really popular on the market right now.
Yeah.
I've seen his name tied to like 4 or 5 different teams for multi-year deals.
Mm-hmm.
So the Phillies are not going to be trying to strike up a multi-year deal with anybody here.
Yeah.
That's for sure. We talked about Conforto, who's coming off of a year being out of the game, so he's probably going to seek some sort of 1-year deal. And we talked about a couple of other guys. We talked about Joey Gallo, who's probably looking at a 1-year deal. So, there are pieces out there that if you're trying to make sure Nick Castellanos isn't playing right field every day, which I think should be the goal right now.
Yeah.
Should be trying to find a short-term solution to make sure that he's not playing the outfield. Now, our buddy Jack Fritz on the Phixated Podcast, on High Hopes, mentioned a guy, Robbie Grossman, who we played against in the playoffs in Atlanta. And, he'd come really cheap, and I have no problem with that. Basically a platoon and a defensive type of guy that could go out there and play right field against some right-handed pitching.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like, you're missing Bryce for a few months.
Yeah.
And I think, Rags, this kind of leads to what I wanted to do. I don't want to belabor the Bryce news, right? We know how much it sucks. And they played okay without him last year. I mean, they stayed in the race. They overtook teams in the race to get back to where they were, thanks to performances by Reese and really JT at that point.
Yeah.
Kyle kept hitting. Nick never really got it going, but they were able to stave it.
And the pitching was really good around then, too.
And the pitching was good, too. Yeah, and they have to replace like 400 innings, too.
Yeah.
So, it's not going to be easy to find those 400 innings. It's just not going to be easy. So, ultimately, what I would anticipate happening is, and this is where I'm going to ask your permission, with the loss of Bryce, I did say before the offseason that we did that I may have to revisit it.
You did.
If the Bryce news was not great news.
Yep.
The Bryce news is not great news. So I'm asking permission from you and the Phixated fan base to allow me to make just 2 simple addendums to the offseason.
Of course, I want to hear what your addendums are, and I think everyone else does as well.
Well, that was easy.
The people want to know what's going to happen.
That was very easy, and I appreciate you allowing me to do this.
Did you think I was going to argue strongly against it?
I wasn't sure what was going to happen, if I'm being entirely honest with you.
I want to know what they're going to do. So this is like...
Well, I mean, it's not like I know what they're going to do.
I know, but this is literally replicating a text chain that we would have. If we didn't have this podcast, as soon as I heard the Bryce news, I would have texted you saying, what are they going to do? Do they, are they going to look for another outfit? Like, this would have been a text chain that you and I would have had pre-podcast. So
it would, you're right. It very well, there's a lot of potential for that. So, okay, well, let's have a little bit of fun then. So I will give you what I think would be the right move to stave course until Bryce is back. Let's start there. Okay?
Yep.
This guy was not available when we did that show.
Gotcha.
And I immediately texted you when he became available, when he was non-tendered. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, he sucks. It's terrible. Why would we do that? He's been so bad. Well, let me tell you why you would do it. Because he won an MVP 3 years ago. There was a lot of pressure on him on the team he played for. And if you want to revive your career, why not go to a place where you've got a loaded lineup? You can go play Gold Glove defense every day. You got a short porch in right field to up your power numbers. And you got the best damn hitting coach in the sport. Now, the argument could be made, Regs, if the Dodgers can't fix you, no one can. I'd argue Kevin Long could. Cody Bellinger, 1 year, $15 million.
Oof.
Come play right field every day. And if you're hitting well, when Bryce comes back, we have the conversation about playing different positions on the field every day. He can play every outfield position. He can play first base. So you could move your DHs around.
Mm-hmm.
Schwarber could DH. Nick could DH. You could move Marsh to the bench on certain days and just say you're not playing today. And if you really want to get crazy, late in the season, or late in games, he could play left field, and your defensive outfield is Cody Bellinger, Brandon Moss, and Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
It's a really good outfield.
Yeah.
And if he stinks,
the first base
then he
thing's
goes away.
intriguing also.
Yeah.
Like just throw him in randomly against righties.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you never know what injuries you're going to deal with. So to have him as depth, you know, in case someone goes down, I mean, the way that Brandon Marsh plays, I mean, you know, that guy just runs into things that don't exist in the outfield sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's sort of where I stand, Rags.
That's interesting. Is that a too expensive bench piece though?
Oh, someone's giving him that. Well, he's not going to be on the bench for the first 3 months of the season.
That's a fair point. So let's dive a little deeper into this scenario because now I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
So if that happens, if he's your everyday right fielder, Castellanos turns into your automatic DH. And then I guess what happens when you want to just give Schwarber a blow? Bellinger moves to left and then Castellanos goes back to right.
Yeah, you could. I mean, Nick could play left.
That's what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't he play left for
Cincinnati?
Cincinnati?
He played left for
okay.
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, he could easily go to left. And you know, if you get Trey Turner, Bellinger can hit toward the bottom. Like you're gonna have to find a way to split Stott, Bellinger, and Marsh because you get really lefty heavy.
Yeah.
But you could easily just like put Stott hitting behind like Bohm sixth and let Reese hit, you know, in there. And, you know, there's ways to do this because Schwarber, Turner, well, we don't have Bryce. So it's going to get a little weird. You might see the year start with Hoskins hitting second, which I know people are going to lose their minds about. But
they can't do that again, right?
I mean, early in the year you can.
Why not just put Bohm third?
I mean, you could. There's a lot of things you could do, and I'm sure we could get into the logistics of it. My point being that you just have to make sure you split those lefties if Bellinger's going to be playing every day.
I mean, that's where I think JT comes in.
Yeah, you still have enough righties to do it. You have Reese, you have JT, you have Bomer, and you have Turner. So you have four righties to be able to kind of split throughout your lineup. To make it happen, and they don't have to all hit in the middle of the order.
Right.
So, you know, there's ways to split them up and still make your lineup potent. You know, and then when the time comes, if Bellinger's hitting, he stays. So, you know, but you're getting a Gold Glove outfielder. I mean, the guy can just go get it out there.
Yeah.
And because I think we all agree we don't want to see Nick Castellanos running after baseballs next year.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to see that.
He needs to focus up.
Yeah, just let him hit.
Yeah.
And again, Bellinger's getting that money somewhere. And if Kevin Long can look at the tape and say, I can fix that.
Yeah.
Then you're getting a former MVP.
Right. And a Gold Glove outfielder.
And a Gold Glover. Yeah. And you know, you're going to have to take a long, hard look eventually because if you fix him and he wants to stay around, you got to find a spot for him. And if first base happens to be that spot, you're kind of ruining the idea of the Gold Glove outfield. So, you know, there's definitely long-term effects to this too. But if you want to take him just to revive his career for a year and live off of that, then you deal with it.
Yeah.
Because you'll find ways for him to play if he's hitting the baseball. And that might be at the expense of Brandon Marsh, unfortunately. But you deal with that when the time comes. You know, you deal with it when the time comes. Because Bryce not be able to throw for a little bit. You might be DHing. So you still might need him in the outfield. You know, and again, with injuries, who knows? Cody could be playing all sorts of places. So it would be something I would do.
Very interesting.
Now, sorry, I should have muted.
It's okay.
Here's my other addendum.
Okay.
I'm going to take the package that I used in a trade to go get in my like way over the top ordeal. To go get Devers.
Okay.
And I'm changing it. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to use Mick Abel, Johan Rojas, and Ethan Wilson, another outfielder pretty high on the Phillies prospect list, to Arizona for Zach Gallen.
I'd love for people to comment who knew who Zach Gallen was off the top of their heads.
Zach Gallen.
Because mine's going to be a thumbs down.
Zach Gallen. Well, I sent you that message yesterday.
You did. Was that the eyeballs guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, do you need to know what Zach Gallen's numbers look like?
I do.
Need to?
I didn't look them up.
Let's have the conversation about how good Zach Gallen is.
Okay.
Okay. So this year, now this was his like first full year. Now to remind you, just to give you the context, he's 25.
Okay.
Okay. So he's kind of been brought slowly through. Oh, I didn't want to go to ESPN. That's not where you want your stats. Come on, Mike. Where's Baseball Reference? There it is. All right. So I lied. He was 26. Sorry, I lied to you. He started in Miami, and then came over to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in his first full year, he pitched 15 games between Miami and Arizona, and he pitched to a 2.81 ERA. Okay. Then in 2020, started 12 games, pitched to a 2.75 ERA.
All right.
Now, his third full year, this time also with Arizona, he did not have a great year. It was definitely his worst by far. 4-10 with a 4.3 ERA. Now, last year, the dude was 12-4 with a 2.54. Okay, again, 26 years old, a 5 WAR, a career 3 ERA. All right, now, he's still young enough that he won't be a free agent until after 2025. So you have the guy for 3 full seasons.
Okay.
All right. I think he's worth. Now, look, essentially what I'm trying to say is I want an ace.
Yeah.
I've changed my mind from where I was a few weeks back that we don't need the pitching. We do, especially with Bryce being out. And I also want to have 6 starters coming into the season because we need to save Nola innings. We need to save Wheeler innings. If Painter's going to be up at some point, we're going to need to save Painter innings. So, I still want Jose Quintana. I still think he's a good fit for the Phillies. And we obviously have Ranger Suarez. Yeah. So, they need a third dude. They need a dude. And I've gone back and forth on a bunch of guys. I mean, Shane Bieber is another guy that I've heard could be a good fit for them and is still, a dude. He's really, really good. There's a couple of guys in Milwaukee that could make sense. If Corbin Burns becomes available, he'd be a phenomenal fit for them. Yeah. I don't know if the Marlins would make a guy like Pablo Lopez available. He could be certainly someone that, they could look at. They've done business with the Marlins in division before. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to do something like that. And there's a guy that I'd be interested in from Tampa Bay, but I worry a little bit about the injury history's coming off injury. So I worry a little bit about the possibility of.
Why would you be worried about that? Pitchers that are coming off injury do great in Philadelphia.
I love your sarcasm so much. It's one of my favorite things about you, actually. I do worry a little bit about, going that route. For a team that does struggle quite a bit to get lucky with guys that are coming off of injury and just generally pitchers coming over to us at all. Right. We don't tend to get lucky in that way, unfortunately.
No, we do not.
It's not something that we do well in, and I'm having a hard time finding him. Where is he? Is he not even on here? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm having a really difficult time. Oh, Tyler Glasnow, there he is. Yeah, and his value would be about right for the deal that I offered. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for his value. And the deal you could probably take Ethan Wilson out of the deal and get that done. But he's coming off it. I don't think he pitched at all last year. So his value is probably lower than it's ever been. You might even be able to do like Abel and a really low prospect for him.
Yeah.
but I don't know that he would come here and be the same guy. So Zach Gallen. Give me Cody Bellinger and Zach Gallen. That's my addendum, Rex.
Okay. I like it.
That's my addendum.
I mean, Cody Bellinger is obviously like an ideal person to come in and just play really good outfield and not have to worry about the pressure of like carrying a lineup whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, 15 million is obviously a lot, but he's a really, really good option.
Yeah.
Like really good.
Really, really good, Rex.
Yeah. Like
really
you said,
good.
an MVP 3 years ago.
Yeah. And that just that stuff doesn't like, I don't know. I say the same thing about Castellanos. Like the talent just doesn't disappear.
Yeah, it shouldn't, right? It's like it's not a thing that usually happens.
No. So I'm hoping on, I'm banking on it happening. This is me just being all out positive.
Come on, baseball. Give us something.
Give us something other than Zach Eflin. Give me that first domino.
Seriously,
we all need it.
Come on.
We all need it. Because I got to tell you what, I can't hinge myself to the Sixers, Regs.
No. It's too emotional.
I mean, they're hanging in there without, two of their best players. But last night we saw, again, we were joking beforehand. We're just expecting winners all across the board at this point. And last night we kind of saw that they're going to struggle with more athletic teams. The Cavs ran the floor with them.
The Cavs are
ran the floor with them.
The Cavs are really good.
Dude, I don't think I realized just how athletic the Cavs were.
They're crazy young, crazy athletic, and they've figured out how, like, Sexton and Mitchell have just figured out how to play with one another. They've got like great young bigs who are just everywhere.
Yeah.
It's literally a nightmare. Yeah. It's literally a nightmare team for the Sixers.
Mobley is just ridiculous.
Oh, he's crazy.
Yeah. And I've always liked Chris LeVert. Like, I think on this show I've said I would love to have him as a Sixer.
Yeah. He's like, that team is a nightmare matchup from top to bottom for the Sixers. Yeah. Even if they had Maxey and Harden. Like,
well, Harden just athletically.
But I mean, like, Maxey can't cover anybody either. Like, I know he's athletic, but he can't play real defense yet.
That's a team you just have to figure out a way to score with.
Yeah, and without Maxey or Harden, like, it's just not a thing. That's going to happen. So, again, this Sixers team is turning out to be very middle of the pack. They are not at the top of the Eastern Conference.
No.
The Celtics,
they're number 5. They are literally middle of the pack.
The Celtics are worlds better than this team. Milwaukee is worlds better than this team. There are young teams like the Cavs who just present nightmare matchups for them.
Yeah.
They're just are like, everyone kind of went into this year thinking that we were going to be in that sort of top 3 conversation with Boston and Milwaukee, and it's just not the case. It's just not how it's going to go.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you see them as they continue to gel together? Because a lot of them are very new to each other. You still have that kind of that you're battling.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see them, again, I agree with you. I don't see them with the Celtics or the Bucks. But a veteran team could pose problems for a younger team in a playoff situation, right?
So that's the only time that I think this team would be able to do what they do.
Right.
Because the game
all that time to gel.
The game does slow down in the playoffs.
Right.
This team is not built to like win 72 games in the regular season. You know what I mean? They're just not. With all the management that they have to do with Embiid, Tucker can't play, all the time. Harden, obviously, with the injury stuff. Maxey now with his own injury. This team just, a lot of people thought they were going to kind of get their over, which is in the 50s, just because of the talent level on the team. But I think we're realizing now that this team is not built for the regular season. They just have to get to the playoffs.
Right.
where everything slows down a little bit. You can exploit those matchups more and more often. Everyone hopefully will be fresh. But it's just you're not going to beat a team like Cleveland who just sees green lights everywhere and is just going.
They're just going all the time.
From start to
really
finish. They're just going, and they're more athletic,
Really.
and they're younger, and they're good. Like, they're just good.
Yeah, they're a very good basketball team.
Yeah.
And we've got another one of those types of teams tomorrow going to Memphis.
Yeah. Like, again, another nightmare matchup for this team.
Yeah. It is just, and they're all over the league, teams like that. There are teams like that all over this league.
Yeah. Listen, it's one of the things we talked about in the offseason pod with the Sixers is we were hoping they would get younger. They got a little bit with Melton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was kind of the kind of player you wish you could have 6 or 7 of on your team.
Yeah.
But they only got one of them, and everyone else is like still Korkmaz and Jiang and PJ Tucker and
all of our favorites.
Yeah.
All of our favorites.
These guys aren't jumping off the page at you athletically.
No, you don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
It's sad.
So look, it's just they'll get Harden back soon. They'll get Maxey back soon. I think
Harden's supposed to be back next week.
I think it's all about what you just said. They have to just focus on gelling as a team.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously good enough to be middle of the road.
Right.
But you have to take this time to figure out like each other, how to work together the best, all those things. You need to be focused on that.
Yeah. I think with Harden coming back next week, Maxey's out of the boot, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So if not next week, the following week. They just need to stay healthy so they can all play together.
Yeah.
For the most part, the core of this team, Embiid, Harden, Maxey, Harris, they've played together.
Yeah.
At least through a bulk of last year. I'd still like to see more of Harden on the floor with these guys.
Right.
At the same time, because he came in a little later and didn't play right away, or he was hurt for a little, like when he came over. Right. God, that feels like an eternity ago. But as you scroll through the roster, Melton wasn't here last year. Harrell wasn't here last year. House wasn't here last year. Tucker wasn't here last year. And those guys are getting minutes. So it's important. Like Tucker's playing 30 minutes a game.
Yeah, that's too much.
House is playing 20 minutes a game. Melton's playing 28 minutes a game. So
and
these
again,
guys,
like Montrezl Harrell 3 or 4 years ago is like a guy who keeps up with Cleveland.
right?
He's not
right,
like he's not that same like dog anymore that he was like coming out of Louisville.
got that dog mentality.
I love that guy. I love that guy in college. Like he was me if I was 6'11" and had any athleticism whatsoever.
I mean, I love the guy right now. You just like it's just
not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's still in there, but it's like watching Blake Griffin. You know what I mean? It's just not the same person.
That's a good comparison. I like that one. So, all right, right now, we always do this with the Sixers and the Phillies. We kind of look at where they are, what they have coming up. So right now they are 12-10, tied for 5th in the East with the Hawks. They trail the Cavs, the Pacers, who are about game and a half to 2 games ahead of them. The Bucks are 4 games ahead, and the Celtics hold 6, all the way up in first place. Here's what they have coming this week. So tomorrow they have the Grizzlies on the road, and then they're off all weekend.
Yep.
And they have the Rockets on the road. Wow. Then they have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, and they come back home to play the Lakers at home. So you have
3 days off in a row. Wow.
At Memphis, which is good for the injuries. At Houston.
Loss, win.
Yup. Home against the Lakers.
Should be a win.
Should be a win. And then...
But I don't know who, like, PJ Tucker has to guard freaking LeBron James, so... I don't know how well that works out for us.
Well,
Or
I mean,
Toby does.
Yeah. PJ's annoying, dude. He's annoying. Like, and then Charlotte at home. I think 3-1 this week.
Yeah, Charlotte should be a win.
I think 3-1.
I think that's fair.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
You know, which is fine. You just want to get out of these 2-2 stretches, right? Like, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Right.
Like, you got to start getting some separation in the win-loss column and giving yourself some confidence. So we'll next Thursday we'll have 2 of these games knocked out. That's weird. We're talking on Thursday, and in a week they will have only played 2 games.
Yeah.
And maybe Maxie's back next weekend.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think you asked a good question beforehand. I think it was something to effect of like with Harden coming back now and Maxey coming back in a little bit. What was your question? It was going to be like, are you more interested in Harden coming back or?
Really, for me, it's is it going to be? Is this team going to be better with Harden coming back than they are right now? Because it wasn't good to start, and I don't know if it was because he was hurt or what. I clearly I'm more excited for Maxey to get back just because of the energy that he brings.
I mean, and
but
I also
I
think their best shot is to have Maxey being the one running the offense.
Right.
So my hope is Harden comes back and just coming off an injury. He's just looking to have 15 assists a game.
Yeah.
Like score your 22. Like I think that's fine. But really just work on getting the ball to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
If he comes back in that like, well, I haven't shot in a while, so I'm just going to shoot everything. Like it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
There's like that mindset literally has the potential to make them lose games. Maybe not to the likes of Houston or Charlotte, but it could lose you a game against the Lakers. Like it's LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is playing really well right now.
Right.
And LeBron James is still LeBron James, and he could decide to like have almost 50 points at any given time against a team that is not very good defensively. So, and especially in a game where Embiid has to be focused on Davis. Usually Embiid is allowed to sort of roll off his man because there's not a ton of great bigs that they have to play night in and night out. He can't help the same when he's got Anthony Davis standing next to him.
Sure.
So if somebody gets blown by, because LeBron can still do that to people, or he's going to post somebody up, it's going to be that's probably the closest one that has the potential to be a loss out of the 3 games that we talked about.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And especially if Harden is just jacking up step backs just because he's like, I haven't shot the basketball in a while. Right.
And I'm playing LeBron.
Right. Yeah. If he gets, into that sort of Houston Harden mindset.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, obviously, again, I feel like we're still in that limbo with the Sixers. It's so early in the year, although I guess they're 22 games in, right?
Yeah,
like they're already a quarter of the way through. So we got to get ourselves dug in. We're not used to having that much time with the Phillies, and we certainly are really bought into a 10-1 Eagles team. So, we got to get ourselves dug in for the Sixers a little bit here in the coming weeks or so. And it's going to be hard to do because baseball hot stove and the Eagles hitting the heavy turn here into the postseason. So it's going to be tough.
We'll keep our eye on them.
I mean, listen, it's the holiday season. This is always like the best time for, baseball season. Basketball's getting going. And, if you're lucky enough to have a football team in the playoffs, this is a good time of year.
Yep, that's right.
And if you're really lucky, your football team will make a Christmas album. Like ours.
That's right.
Holy moly.
Incredible.
It's hilarious.
The videos are so funny.
They're so funny. Did you see the one with Jalen today?
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh my gosh. They released one with Jalen today. And I guess he's on like the Jingle Bells track.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I saw the one of Kelsey and Mylotta.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone
And-
just like
and-
loses their shit when Mylotta starts.
Because he's so good.
I know, it's crazy. It's wild.
Jason Kelsey saying, listen, this guy is only playing football so that he can start a music career is just chef's kiss Jason Kelsey. Like, it is prime Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
Prime Jason Kelsey. So I don't know if you, so basically that for Eagles charity, I don't know if it's for their autism charity or for another one. I haven't seen the actual charity, but the Eagles are doing a Christmas album performed by the players, and every week, so tomorrow they'll release a new song. For 5 weeks up to Christmas, they will release one song every Friday. They released one last week. They'll release one again tomorrow, and then they'll have the whole album available there that Christmas week. So, but the first one was Jason Kelsey and Jordan Mailata, and it was
just fantastic.
Hysterical. What song was it?
Dreaming of a White Christmas.
No, that wasn't the first one.
Oh, that was the one in the video with Kelsey and Mylotta.
Was it?
Yeah, because Mylotta did that like I.
It's Christmas, baby, please come home.
Oh, maybe I got to mix
Was the
up in
first
my
song
head.
released?
I don't know. Who knows? Go listen to it.
Download
it for a good cause.
I mean, it's awesome. It is awesome. It's so good. So good. But let's really talk about the football team now.
All right.
10-1, Regs.
We are
10-1 after that Sunday night butte at home in Philly. I know. 13-0, down, up. I never felt in danger.
No, it didn't feel like we were going to lose the game. It sucked to like lose momentum so often. I think that's the biggest thing. I think we obviously could do whatever we wanted to on the Green Bay defense. They're just not a good defense.
No, they can't stop the run to save their lives.
Obviously, Jalen setting like a franchise record, for rushing yards by a quarterback. I don't know where do you want to start with this? Because you know me, I'm gonna jump to certain things, which I know we've argued about already. But
I think it's let's start with the offense, right?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of outside criticism that the Eagles don't do anything pretty, or it's not explosive, and because of that, they'll struggle in the playoffs. And I don't know, man. I tend to disagree. Like, you should be gearing up to go against the team's weakness.
yeah,
And that's what they did. If they're going to be able to run the football, they're going to run the football.
right.
But I don't know if it's kind of one of those, like, tell me you haven't watched the Eagles without telling me you haven't watched the Eagles things to say that Jalen Hurts can't make the throws, because the kid has made all the throws. He's made all the throws this year. The throw to Quez before half.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Unbelievable.
That throw is unbelievable. I know, like, to the naked eye and someone who watches casually. No. That throw,
that was a dime.
That throw is exactly the way it's practiced.
Yep.
Timing was perfect. You're supposed to throw it at the pylon, and if that doesn't hit Quez's chest, it hits the pylon.
Yeah.
Like, it hits the pylon.
Yep.
And then there was a throw later in the game that wasn't completed, but he had to roll to his left. He had to set himself across his body and throw to the end zone. And I think if that's AJ Brown, it's a touchdown.
Oh yeah.
It was Quez.
Right. It hit
And
him
he's not
right.
big.
It hit him right in the hands.
Yeah.
Still.
I think if it's AJ Brown or even Devontae,
Yeah.
it's touchdown. So, to me, last year, that's the throw he got picked off in the game against the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making that throw now. Jalen is different. He's different. And if you're not seeing that, you're not watching. Like, even their loss, Jalen was really good.
Yeah.
He couldn't help that they continued to fumble the football.
Right. Or that
That
their
wasn't on
defense
him.
couldn't get a stop to save their life.
And that wasn't on him.
Yeah.
Well, they held them to 6 points in the second half. They got stops.
That's
They
true.
just didn't take advantage of the stops. They had multiple fumbles in that
Yes.
fourth quarter. So, like, I don't know, man. I kind of want to start there, and they've got Dallas coming back. Like he said, he's out of the sling.
Yeah.
He says he feels great,
crazy.
and he's going to be back when his time's up on the IR.
Yeah.
Like that's enormous.
Yeah, that's wild.
Because that's what are we at? 2 more weeks till he can be back?
Yeah.
So he'll be back for Dallas. He'll miss the Tennessee game, he'll miss the Chicago game, and he'll be back for the Cowboy game.
Yeah, that's huge.
On Christmas Eve. That's enormous. Like that is barring anything else happening to anybody on the roster. CGJ yeah. You know what I'm trying to say.
I do.
Gardner Johnson will be out.
Yes.
But aside from him,
which sucks, but still.
It does. There's some we didn't talk about this beforehand, but we're gonna have to talk about this. I don't think it's gonna happen, but we're gonna have to talk about it. So yeah, they got Dallas Goedert coming back. So that's only gonna help the offense.
Yeah.
It's only gonna help the offense. So I'll let you talk a little bit to the defense, unless you want to add anything to the offense. And if you don't,
I think the only thing I heard this on like a Bill Simmons podcast. They were just sort of recapping the week. And they had a guy on who does the Philly podcast for like his Ringer, like his website.
Okay.
And they were just talking about, it was obviously after the Redskins lost, so it was talking about all that, and he made a point that it's not that Jalen, it's that the Philadelphia passing offense is very basic right now. And that was how he described it, is that it was on purpose because Jalen at the time wasn't capable of making the throws necessary. And he made a point that it wasn't an offense that Nick Sirianni and who's the guy calling plays? Steichen?
Yeah, Shane Steichen.
Yeah. It's not an offense that they are sort of used to running. They're very West Coast offense guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he was saying is that in order for the Eagles to sort of come back and take that next step, he wanted Sirianni and Steichen to start bringing in more of that West Coast offense style to the passing game, to allow these really good receivers to, be in better positions and not be just running. He called it a lot of like 6-yard curls is a lot of what the Eagles run. So I just bring that up just because I think there is still a level for this offense to get to. I think the passing game at times can seem a little dull, and seem like they're not taking advantage of having A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the field at the same time. The run game obviously is there. The offensive line had an unbelievable game. Just played really, really well. And it's like you said, Jalen isn't doing anything but taking what's in front of him. If you're going to let him scramble and and all he has to do is beat the one spy and then he's got 40 yards of open field, like, of course he's going to do that. Why wouldn't he take advantage of, like, if Mike Vick was doing that, everyone would be like, man, he's unbelievable. He's such a great athlete. Like, he takes over a game. People seem to think Jalen does it because he can't make the throws. And I would say that it doesn't sound like they need to get a little more ambitious in their passing game and the routes that they're running and how they're running that part of the offense. Because now I think Jalen's proven to himself that he can handle that. And like, if you have a guy who can run, he's going to take advantage of it. He's just going to do it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that means like, yeah, he didn't get to his third progression on that play, but he gained 30 yards. So who cares? Who cares? So I obviously very impressed with him. It was good to see Miles come back with another good game. So yeah, I think, again, from an offensive standpoint, it's not a good defense, so you should be putting up 40 points. Like, I was really happy that they continued to score touchdowns as often as they did. I think that's a huge key, even against bad teams. it's still difficult. And I just heard another thing on a Simmons podcast that teams are scoring like the least amount of points per red zone visit that they have in like almost 15 years. For whatever reason, that the scoring average when teams get into the red zone is way down. So
I think teams continue to throw, like what I've noticed is teams continue to throw the ball when they're down there, and the Eagles don't. They run it.
Yeah.
When they're inside, when they're inside, like they run the football.
Yeah. And so the fact that even against a bad team, you're still able to score touchdowns is what that's what you need to be able to do. Right. No matter what. Right. You need to get 6 or 7. You need to get 7 points when you're down there.
Right.
So
real quickly before we jump to the defense, question was asked. Buddy Chance, thanks for asking the question, man.
That's a great question.
Great question. Texted me during the game and said, would you rather have Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts if you were starting a franchise? And I thought long and hard about this, man. And I love me some Jalen Hurts. The problem with Jalen Hurts, if there is a problem, and again, I don't know that this is necessarily a problem right now, it could be long term, is his style of play.
Yeah.
Running quarterbacks tend to not last super long. Unless you can't catch him like Mike Vick. No one could catch him.
Yeah.
But I mean, he took some shots in this game.
Yeah.
Shots.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I still like to take Jalen because I think Jalen's just a winner. Like, I just think that the mentality of Jalen Hurts is different. But man, I'm so tempted by Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that was going to be my answer. I think Burrow's the clear number one out of those three. And then I think you could make an argument around Herbert and Jalen at the moment.
Yeah. Like I'd probably take Jalen over Herbert.
And I think I'm in the same boat as you, but I think Burrow is a clear number one in that group.
I do too. And clearly all three guys still so early in their careers.
Yeah, absolutely. But Burrow, like we just talked about, the Eagles unfortunately had to dumb down their passing offense for Jalen Hurts because after last year, like it was after they had to change their entire offense. And again, that's personnel based. They didn't have AJ Brown. Devontae Smith is in his second year. He was obviously a rookie then. So again, it's personnel based for sure. But Jalen did not want to stay in the pocket and make throws.
Right.
He just didn't. He wanted to bail out of everything and try to run.
It's just such a difference, though.
Yes, it's very much improving. Yeah. And that's all we talked about leading up to this season with Jalen is that can he show the improvement to prove to this team in this city and this ownership that he can be your franchise quarterback moving forward. Again, if a generational talent becomes available, I'm not saying the Eagles still won't go that direction because there still is like a large difference. I think there's still a pretty big difference between Jalen Hurts and like Patrick Mahomes is a terrible example because he's literally the best quarterback in the league. But like, there's a different, but you know what I mean. There's a difference in that kind of guy. And I think there's even a difference in a Joe Burrow type. The difference is Joe Burrow can stand on the pocket, and with this offensive line, Joe Burrow would have a field day. If they ran a sophisticated offense, he would be perfectly comfortable. He could make every throw. Like he's got the size, he's got the arm. Like there's just a difference as a passer. There's just a difference.
Right.
Jalen obviously brings you other things. But I'm with you. I think Burrow's a clear number one, and then I think it's probably Hurts Herbert at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment, and Herbert's got a ton there. Okay, I had to just sidetrack us there for a second.
No, it's
because
you
were talking about Jalen.
It's a great question.
So, Chance, thanks for the question, man. Over to the defense. I'll let you go first. I'm curious to see. I know what you're gonna say, but I'm curious anyway.
The run defense wasn't as good as against Detroit. Aaron Jones had a pretty good game. AJ Dillon looked really, pretty good. Again, they didn't they weren't dominating the game, which is fine. But they still had good games, the both of them. obviously Garner Johnson going out was a huge, like, it's a big deal. That guy's been playing really, really well. I thought Rodgers really took advantage of our nickel corners. Like, it just seemed like he was always they were always finding a way to put guys on those guys.
Yeah, and our safeties.
And yes, and they weren't doing well in coverage. I'm still just watching Darius Slay play 12 yards off of people, and they just keep catching balls in front of him for like 15 yards because they just run these little in routes, and he can't catch up to it. Like, I know Slay's really good, but like something's happening and I don't know what, and I don't understand it, and I will never understand it until someone explains it to me. I know you're going to give me the short field argument. We literally talked about this for like all day on Sunday. You sent me multiple videos of people on Twitter. I finally just had to tell you to go F yourself because you just kept sending me these dumb stats about, about the Eagles defense. But our boy Jack had a great tweet during the U.S. Men's soccer game. He said the U.S. men's soccer team is starting their Joe Gannon prevent defense in the second half. So I thought it was a great tweet by Jack. I hear in my head every time I see the defense line up like that all I can think about Gannon doing is like standing on the sidelines with his fingers crossed like this and his eyes closed. Don't throw it over the top. Don't throw it over the top. Don't throw it over the top. Like, that's what I imagine he's doing in his head. And he's got no balls, Azzy. He's got no balls. He doesn't take risks. He doesn't try to. Did they send one blitz?
Yeah, they blitzed.
How many times? More than 4?
To be fair, they were getting home.
They did start to get home, yes. They weren't always.
Fletcher Cox was a different dude.
Listen, yes, but there was a time where we were talking where we were just like, you can't just let Aaron Rodgers had 8 seconds back there. They eventually did start to get to him. You're right.
Sure.
But that was not the case the whole game. I just don't know. I'm just going to relate it to if we get into the playoffs against a good team, you can't allow quarterbacks in the NFL to just stand there. And depending on the day, our defensive line does not create pressure consistently enough right now that you could convince me that a good team like isn't going to put up 35 points on us all the time. And like, again, it was Aaron Rodgers, and you made a great point in our text message. Like, he eats blitzes alive. You're absolutely right. He does. He's an unbelievably smart quarterback who will see it coming and will do something to get out of it. But just this passive, like, please, like this whole, like, just like, please don't throw it over my head mentality is driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts. Okay, they had short fields for a bunch of them. Oh, fine. They can't throw it over your head in the short field, but yet he still, I'm sure, was like hoping. But it's just like, come on, man. Can you show some stones and like try to do something? Just try. Maybe like watch the game and just see if something works. I'm not saying you have to run it for the rest of the game. Maybe just one play. See what happens. That's all. Like, that's it. I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much. Am I being too harsh?
So
I can't wait for the stats you're about to read. I cannot wait for the stats that you're
I'm not going to read. I'm not going to read stats.
I thought you were just going to go down the list.
No, I've read you stats.
You have.
I think again, we went back and forth about this. I don't think the defense was nearly as much at fault for the points that were put up in this game as what I believe most people feel.
I will generally agree with you.
Yeah, I'm just making the point for the listening audience that when you think about the points that were scored in this game, 20 of them came off of short fields. And the special teams unit is an absolute atrocity.
Yes.
It's an atrocity. Like at some point, and I know, so like the difference between Doug P and Nick Sirianni in this regard is Doug P played starters on special teams. Sirianni will not do it.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're going to have to consider putting a couple of starters on special teams because that, Regs, is what's going to cost them a playoff game. That's what's going to cost them a playoff game. Someone's going to return a kick. They're going to get good field position. The defense is going to be pinned up against it every time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, it is clearly an issue.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I think there was one possession where they did not start outside the 30. And it was the first one when he fumbled the kickoff, picked it up, and they got him at like the 7.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it was like they started the one score, they started at their own 41. So they had to go 59 yards. And then there was the fumble, the AJ Brown fumble. And then there was the turnover on downs, which to me is still bogus because I feel like they got the first down on 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
It was a bad spot. So, the fumbling needs to stop, putting them in bad positions that way. I'm not going to get too upset about the turnover on downs because, look, it's worked 92% of the time.
Right.
And then, again, the special team stuff needs to go away too. I mean, even coming out of half, they started with the ball at the 50, and the defense got to stand. Like, they got to stand. So, and then the Jordan Love touchdown was a bad job in coverage and angle wise from Reed Blankenship, who look, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for the interception.
That's right.
But then the catch and score.
Yeah, he kind of showed a little bit.
Christian Watson's a really fast dude,
but
like,
still,
he's gonna do that. He's gonna do that to a lot of guys in this league. But man, was that bad?
That was a bad angle. That was
a bad angle.
Rough for our
like
boy
that was
Reed.
a bad angle.
Yeah,
but this is a Reed Blankenship podcast.
That's very true. Listen, I'm not against that. It's just I just need to know if like people really think at this point, if we like, again, I know it's ridiculous, but like, I'm just talking about it based on playoff and like Super Bowl scenarios. Like, if we play the likes of a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen in the Super Bowl, like, what? You can't tell me that that kind of defensive philosophy is going to work.
Well, but here's the thing, Regs. Like, I don't know that any defensive philosophy quite works against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Maybe not against
because
Patrick
they're Josh
Mahomes.
Allen.
Josh Allen.
They're Josh Allen.
A few leaks, but
right. But they are who they are. So your best case scenario is taking the big play away from them, and hoping the more plays they have to run, the more opportunities there are for a mistake.
Does it work against Dallas with Dak Prescott?
We'll find out.
Yeah, we sure will.
We're gonna find out. Like, I'm having a hard time going against 10-1, and I don't know that the offense has won all of these games on their own. They've played up until the Washington game. They have played really, really complimentary football across the board. They've played complimentary football, and
yes, but like we didn't in those first couple games. We didn't see this stuff happening to Slay. Like,
they were playing from out in front.
I know, but like still, but when it clicked, like I get that, but like even in the Washington game, they weren't down by so much, or like the game was still close. So maybe that's why he was playing off. He was trying to again avoid the big play, but like that Washington game, they had 6 or 7 balls that were just caught right in front of Slay, who was 5 yards behind the guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's your best cornerback. At some time, I understand you have this scheme, but like, at some time, and what we talked about in the first year was that he doesn't have all the people he needs to play his scheme the right way. So like now you could argue that they do. I get it, they're not great everywhere, but like at those key positions, they've been pretty good. But like I can't imagine, like, can Darius Slay enjoy this playing that far off of somebody?
So the other thing that I think is important to realize is a couple of times that we saw that he had 5 guys up on the line. So if you're putting 5 guys up on the line, you're playing single high safety, and you do have to play a little bit further off because you only have one safety back. And if that safety's Reed Blankenship,
well,
you know, as much as we're Reed guys, it's not Gardner Johnson back there.
Maybe there's just a point that I don't know enough about football.
We text enough, and I get frustrated at times with him too, but there's a reason it's working. And look, you're right. We might see Patrick Mahomes if we get to the Super Bowl, and he might absolutely torch us. But I can tell you right now, he torches everybody.
Yeah.
So
sure.
It's, you know, there's and maybe Gannon would have some magical pill that we don't know about that would change it. But I can also tell you that we'll score on that defense. I think the teams that concern me more than anything are the teams that have really talented, deep athletic defenses. The Dallas Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
The 2 teams in our conference that I feel like we have that are not good matchups for us because of their defenses.
Yeah.
We're going to have trouble scoring on those teams because they can match up with us offensively, athletically. So do I think we can keep the game close because of our defense? I do, because they're not going to get as many short possessions. He's going to try and limit their possessions and limit their big plays and give them more opportunities for mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing Jimmy Garoppolo, there's a good chance you're going to force him into a mistake or two. We've seen over the course of Dak's career
that not a perfect quarterback,
but has the weapons to hurt you.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think right now, here's the good news about the defense. Yes, we're missing Chauncey. That sucks because he's been phenomenal all across the board. He really has.
Yeah.
But, you know, other guys have to step up, and you're probably going to see a lot of single high safety with the corners playing back, especially this week because you're playing King Henry, and you're going to want more guys sitting in the box.
You have to.
Because I think you dare Ryan Tannehill with his receivers.
Yep,
you dare him.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to stop Henry. So you're probably going to see a lot of 5-man lines. What I read today was they had a bunch of packages with Ndamukong Suh, Joseph, and Jordan Davis. Can you imagine? That is so much man.
That's just a wall of human being. That's
just a wall of beef.
Yeah.
And if you decide that you want to just throw Fletcher Cox on an end,
right?
Like with you know, Josh Sweat or Brandon Graham on the other side, or Robert Quinn or whatever you know, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of man.
That's a lot of man.
It's a lot of man.
It is.
And that's the way I think they're going to approach Henry. Now, what I did notice since, you know, Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh could play a few more snaps this week, Fletcher Cox looked like a brand new dude.
Yeah.
He looked super fresh.
I'm really hoping that that's what happens.
And now you get Jordan Davis back.
Yeah.
And if all things go well, then not for the Chicago game. And I don't know that I would do this, but Avonte Maddox is available. So you're going to have basically your full defense outside of Chauncey for Dallas. Although they have not put Chauncey on IR.
No. But I think Sirianni said they're going to take their time with that one.
Right. Well, yeah. It's kind of like, you know, the Ertz injury from a couple years ago too. Yeah. Like he lacerated his kidney as well, or was it his lung? I think it was his lung. He had a punctured lung.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're going to keep an eye on it, but again, we're still 3 weeks out from Dallas.
Yeah. Both sound not fun.
What's that?
I said both sound not fun.
How about it?
Jesus.
How about it? But all right. So look, I hear what you're saying about the defense. I've had my frustrations, but it's hard to second guess a team who sits where they sit in rankings. I heard a guy the other day who was talking about, everybody wants to point out the run defense, but if you look at the differential between where they are and because they're 16th, I believe they're right in the middle of the pack. If you look at the differential from 16th to 10th, it's a yard a carry.
Yeah.
Or a yard total, 122, and then 10th's 121.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a yard off from being a top 10 rushing defense.
And another stat that the guy on Simmons podcast had for sort of trends of this football season, he said that the yards per carry rushing wise are up again, for more than they have been in the past 7 years or so.
It's a passing league now, so everybody's playing a base nickel.
Yeah.
And you have one less linebacker on the field. You're basically playing 6 in the box. So when teams run, unless you're the Eagles and you're just stacking the line and you have a linebacker who's chasing dudes down, again, TJ Edwards playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
And Kaiser White's taking a little bit of a step back as the year's gone on, but I'm waiting for them to unleash Nakobe. So I'm waiting for.
I would love to start seeing him.
I'm waiting for it. I don't know if it's going to happen. All right. I got one question for you here before we move into
I rambled way too long and we're already at
Tennessee. Oh, you're good, man. No, you're good. Our Tennessee predictions. One question. This team is 10-1. And, I expect it from outside, right? I expect the Cowboy fans to be oh, the Eagles stink. They're not, they wake up thinking of us, and it makes me laugh really hard. Cowboy fans wake up every morning and they're oh, I wonder what Eagles fans are doing today. I don't know. Just say something on Twitter and see how they respond. That's the mentality of the Cowboy fan right now. They're more concerned with us than they are with their own roster, and that's hilarious.
Living rent free, as they say.
As the kids say.
As the kids say.
So this is a 10-1 football team, and yet I feel like they are the most underappreciated good team that I've ever cheered for by this city's fan base. Riggs, the Eagles, every time they've been 10-1 in their history, have either made it to a NFL championship game or a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I do think this team's good enough to do that, but it feels like other fans don't think so. What say you?
I think that Philadelphia is such a unique fan base that it's such a weird way to be, but we're pessimistic by nature. We have the most losing baseball franchise in the history of the sport. The hockey team had lost 11 or 12 in a row just this past couple weeks. The Sixers obviously aren't doing great. So when you have a team like the Eagles, who is at the top of the pyramid right now, they're at the top of the NFC pyramid. The expectations and the scrutiny from fans internally just becomes that much higher. Because everyone's just waiting. Everyone was just sort of waiting for that Redskins game. And now that one has happened, as a fan base, we're all built to just be wondering when the next one is going to happen. When does this team lose 3 in a row? You know what I mean? And then the Cowboys all of a sudden are in first place. And, we're not in first place in the division. That's where people's minds go. It doesn't make any sense. I think we all can admit that it doesn't make any sense. But when we have teams that are in first place, our scrutiny never becomes higher than when our teams are doing the best. The Phillies run is different. The Phillies were underdogs in all of their matchups. That's exactly where Philly fans want to live. That's where we thrive, in being the underdog in every situation. When we're on top, the scrutiny and the microscopicness of our takes. Again, just look at me. I'm complaining about a defense that's 10-1. You know what I mean? And I'm complaining vehemently. I'm not just kind of complaining. I lose my shit when I see that stuff. And you're the bearer of the text messages, so you can vouch for that. But it's when we have teams out in front, we're out of our comfort zone as a fan base. So I think just everyone loses their collective minds and just finds anything and everything to complain about. hence the example on your YouTube screens right now. Like, just look into this big face with this great green sweatshirt on. By the way, merch, Phixated Podcast merch. But like, it's just not where Philly fans thrive. Philly fans thrive being the underdog.
Yeah, it's a really good point. For me, it's shut up and enjoy it.
You're not wrong, buddy. You're not wrong.
Just shut up and enjoy it. Like, I don't care who they've played. I don't care who they haven't played. To me, I look at their wins, and they have 2 wins against the 2nd and 3rd seeds in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care. I understand that we beat Kirk Cousins in prime time, so it doesn't count. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
like
BS.
That's like my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy on Twitter that was thinking he was smart last week, shout out to you, bro. That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And like the whole Cooper Rush thing, whatever. Like,
yeah, right. Whatever.
We still had to play that vaunted defense and put up 26. So to me, this whole thing is shut up and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just be happy you have a 10-1 football team. And like, what's going to be the excuse if we win this week? Like, this is a good team we're playing. The Titans are really tough. They're well coached.
They are.
Mike Vrabel is a really good head football coach.
And he gets his team, like, that team never takes a week off. They are always up for it.
No, so it's not going to be an easy football game.
It's that Ryan Tannehill isn't a good quarterback, and they can't.
That's what it'll be. That's what it'll be. It's going to be that. It's exactly what it's going to be.
Yep.
And it's exhausting. I don't know how, like, as a fan, you can live week to week with that being like your mentality. Like, I just feel like it's exhausting.
Yeah. I mean,
mine personally would be exhausting.
Mine luckily isn't a total team mentality. It's just on a specific person. So I think that's why I can sustain it. Because it's not like a vehement hate of everything. It's just, it's very focused, Yeah. But again, I'm with you. I don't know how you could be a fan and hate everything that they're doing. First of all, it's illogical. Because if you just look at how the offense played last week, outside of a fumble from AJ Brown, and one stop on 4th and 1, come on, you know what I mean? Right.
Yeah.
Regardless of how they get it done.
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
All right.
So I think that's just, we don't thrive in these front runner situations as a fan base.
I know. Well, let's get used to it. All right. -4.5 favorites at home.
Yep.
Total set at 44.5. Key to the game. Prediction. Go.
All right. My key to the game is 3rd down stops. The Titans are going to
struggling there.
The Titans are going to get in 3rd and short situations because they will just pound Derrick Henry for 3 yards after 3 yards after 3 yards. So they're not going to put themselves in a lot of, unless our run defense is playing unbelievably, I don't anticipate them having a lot of 3rd and 8s or 3rd and 7s. They're going to be a lot of 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 3s. I'm not saying we have to go perfect because I think that's unrealistic against a team of this caliber and with Derrick Henry. You're just not going to stop him on these short yard situations all the time. So I'm really more focused on those 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 4s. Can we get stops? Can we get this team off the field? The Titans are going to play how the Redskins played. Keep this offense off the field for as long as humanly possible. Take away as many opportunities for them to have the football as possible. That is going to be, it's the exact same game plan. And to be quite honest, they have better personnel to do it. It's what this Titans team is essentially built around. So can we get the Titans off the field? Again, not to be perfect, because you're just not going to be, but let's just say 50% of the time. Can you get them off the field on 3rd downs? I think if we can maintain a 50% or higher and get the offense the ball back, we'll be in good shape. Prediction wise, I'm gonna go 27-23. I take that back. 27-20. I don't know if the Titans are gonna put up a ton of points.
So you're going the over.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say stop Derrick Henry, but we know he still gets his,
Fair.
right? Like,
yeah. No, I mean, it's still a fair thing to bring up. Like, the dude is like, he is this Titans team.
I mean, that should be your key.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, I think he only rushed for like 35 yards last week. So, you know, it is possible.
Sure.
It really is. But I also realize what our rush defense
and
is.
we are not a good tackling team, which
we're really not.
Which
and
is
against
not
him,
good. It's not good.
He will throw you to the ground.
He will bounce off of everything and he will run through your weak tackles.
Yeah. So I'm going key to the game. AJ Brown,
I like that.
baby.
I want him to have just like 180 yards.
Revenge game, AJ. Seriously, I don't know who stops him. So I read something today that he's got like 100, like it's like 100% matchup rate, like meaning no one can guard him in this
Their defense is
game.
not great.
No, they're just well coached.
Yeah, sure. They don't make a lot of mistakes, but like their key is to not have their defense on the field very much. That's their entire point.
Yeah. Yeah, the key is when you're on the field, let AJ do his thing.
Yeah.
And let him, you know, he's going to want to go big. He's going to want to go big this weekend and shut up a lot of people. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw pass heavy this week and let AJ kind of
please like
own the day.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'd love that.
I got 24-13.
It's a good score. I like that.
I got 24-13. I'm going under. I don't know that it's going to feel that close either.
I just feel like if we can stop them on some third downs and hold them to field goals, our offense should be able to score.
You said it. They want to run the football.
Yeah.
If the Eagles get out in front far enough, that's not going to be possible. And I think it's going to, I see this score looking more like a closer score than it's actually going to be. 24-13. I could potentially see 27-13.
Yeah.
I definitely see the Eagles winning this game pretty handily and making a statement. This is the toughest game they have to this point. Well, since the Minnesota game. And then they have Chicago and then they have Dallas.
Yeah.
So, to me, I don't necessarily see I don't see it being that difficult of a stretch here heading into the Dallas game.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I'm sorry. You know what? I've been skipping a team. They got the Giants after Tennessee. Giants, then Chicago, then Dallas.
Oh, all right. Yeah, Giants are on the downslope a little bit, coming at, they're off their high.
Yeah, we're hoping for a Commanders win. Just because we talked about doing this. Before I go into my Phixated, our hope or our rooting points this week as Eagle fans. Okay. We are Jets fans this week. They go to Minnesota. So we are on the Mike White train.
That's right. All hail Mike White.
All hail Mike White. Because that would be enormous.
That would be crazy, yeah.
For Minnesota to lose another game.
Mm-hmm.
That would give us a 3-game lead on Minnesota with the tiebreaker.
Yep.
So that would put us in a really good spot with Minnesota. We are, I guess we could say either way, Commanders or Giants fans, honestly. But I feel like we're probably Giants or we're Commanders fans because we still hold a 4-game lead on the Commanders.
Yeah, right.
For the division. And, it'd be nice to put some separation between us and the Giants because we have to play them 2 more times.
Right.
Even though I don't think that last one's going to matter a whole lot. And then our last rooting interest is Sunday night. Indianapolis and Dallas. Dallas 10.5 point favorites in that game.
Sheesh.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean,
I
yeah,
can see Dallas getting
like,
a little
look,
shredded by Jonathan Taylor.
maybe, but like that defense is so good. If they just shut him down, like Matt Ryan's not going to do much on that team.
You're right. Especially because they'll get home really like
Oh
Pittsburgh
yeah,
Pittsburgh was getting home on
they
Monday
will
night.
get to Matt Ryan for sure.
Yeah. So that's our rooting interest. We are Colts fans, we are Jets fans, and we are Commanders fans this week. Mark it down. Book it. Oh, we are also Bucks fans on Monday night because we need that Saints pick to keep climbing. Right now it's at number 6.
Yeah, keep it moving.
Let's we'll be Bucks fans on Monday night. So we do have a rooting interest in Monday Night Football.
There we go.
All right, Regs. Little quick fixated here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, Regs, today, special day. It's the first day of the holiday season, right? Like December 1st is where we all start playing Christmas music. Some people, I guess, have been playing it since November 1st.
My wife.
Jerks. Didn't even let Thanksgiving happen, Regs. Andrea did it too. Unbelievable.
No, Angela waited till after Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's nice. Andrea didn't. So it's fine. Anyway, a kid. Kind of. So obviously this is an exciting time. Everybody loves the holiday season. It's, everybody's favorite. We all love Christmas time. There's so much to be excited about, whether it's sports oriented or just like being around family, whatever it is. It's a good time of year. That being said, today is a very special day. It hasn't turned yet, so it's still her birthday. But the queen herself, Jo Marie, happy birthday to my mother. We won't say how old she is. I know she'd be mad at me if I said it.
Aww.
So she turned 30 today.
There you go.
So we're really happy 30th, Mom.
Cheers, Jo Marie.
Cheers, Jo Marie. We love you.
We do.
But no, I think you and I we're both lucky enough to have really amazing moms, right? Moms who followed us through our sports dreams, who followed us through our college lives, even though they probably didn't love or approve of some of the decisions that we made throughout those college lives.
My mother did not.
But ultimately, though, no matter what decisions they disagreed with, I'm sure they're proud of the friendships that we gained and that we've maintained over that through those decisions. So for me, I say it all the time. Like my mom is like, she's like she's like my best friend. Like I call her every day basically to say hi and see how she's doing. Just to catch up on the day's happenings. And, I miss days here and there or stretches here and there and always feel badly, but certainly not because I forgot or that, I don't want to talk to her. It's just sometimes life kind of gets in the way. And I wish it didn't because, you only get that one life with the person who's loved you since before you were even born. There's a mother's love, right? They carry it for 9 months and then, they're the only one that really connects to you that whole time. And then you're born and you're out in this whole world and they still love you even after that. So, no matter the mistakes you make or the amount of times you argue with them or you cry to them or, you yell at them, whatever it is, they love you even more as a result of that. So, my mom has been through it. She's been through it with me and my health. She's been through it with my brother and his health. And, my dad through multiple surgeries. Like she's been through it and she is like the rock that holds my family together, even though she's like up to your hip. She's, the strongest and like most terrifying person that you'll ever deal with. Like I remember Regs in one of my summer baseball games, we had like this one umpire, Varyu was his name. He was great. He was an awesome umpire. Had the best strike 3 call in the world. Even when you struck out, you had to smile when he called you out on strikes. But like she'd get on umpires all the time. Like you'd hear her loud and clear from the bleachers. And every single time he had one of our games, I'd come up to the plate, I hit second, and I'd come up and he'd be like, how you doing? How you doing, Vario? And he'd be like, I'm good, Az. How are you? I'd say, I'm good. He goes, is that Pitbull in the crowd tonight? And I'd be like, yeah, she's there. You'll hear her as soon as you call that first strike on me. And he goes, I can't wait. And sure enough, he'd call his first strike. She'd be like, that was outside. That was low. So, from the crowd. So, my dad would have to stand all the way down the right field line so people wouldn't know they were associated with each other. But, you always appreciate that kind of support and love, and especially when it comes from the person that you arguably loves you more than anybody else in the world. So, Mom, this Phixated is for you. Happy birthday. I hope it was a great day. I can't wait to see you on Saturday. I know you'll spend most of the night with Andrea, but you'll still have to see me for a little bit. But can't wait. We love you. And just very happy birthday, Mom.
Best hugger in the game, Joe Marie.
She would say that you're the best hugger.
I mean, her and I have a very unique relationship in that, yes, I am a very large person and she is not. And so I get her a good 3 feet off the ground during every hug.
It is hilarious.
Without a doubt. As soon as I see her, she knows it's coming. Obviously, her and I have connected for many, many years. I, again, love her as if she was my own. But shout out Joe Marie. Happy birthday.
Joe Marie.
Hope
Joe
you had a
Marie.
great day.
Joe Marie. What we should have done is had Phil on to sing her happy birthday.
We see. I'm sure we can find a video in one of our phones.
I am sure we could. I am sure we could. Regs, man, what a fun one.
Great. It's good to be back to these. I mean, again, the World Series was its own thing, but this one felt long. Like I was sitting earlier in the week, I was like, we haven't recorded in.
Well, yeah, because we're recording like every day.
Well, no, I just mean from like last week. Like we did it on Tuesday for the holiday and all that.
True.
And then
it
like got to yesterday and I was like, man, I can't wait to get on and record something. It feels like it's been forever.
Very true. Very good point from you.
This is
you know what? You know what it is though? We haven't had a guest in a while.
That's true.
We haven't had a guest in a while.
But
it's time to make a play.
We're gonna figure something. We're gonna try something.
Regs, we gotta get T-Mac on the show.
I sent you the tweet. Some random person tweeted him to come on his podcast, and he said yes. Like he's not doing as much stuff. I know he's doing football and stuff like that, so he's got his.
Dude, I called him doing. I had him doing college football the other night.
Yep.
And he does Sunday night football too, and he crushes it.
Yeah, he's great. He does. Yeah, he does the radio too for Westwood One, like all that stuff.
Yeah, for Sunday night, and he was doing college football the other day. I said to Andrea,
I think he does college basketball too.
We're gonna say, yeah, he does. We're gonna send you that. We're gonna send you this clip, and I'm gonna tell you this story. This is how often you're on in my home. And my wife watches the games, but she's kind of tuned out. She just listens while she's like scrolling through her phone or reading a book or whatever. And college football game was on, and I stopped on it, and sure enough, her head kind of pops up, and she goes, "Is that Tom?" And I was like, "It is Tom. Right. It is Tom. It's right. T-Mac." So T-Mac, listen, we would be so honored if you'd come on and do like just a little hot stove segment with us. Talk to us about what you'd hope the Phillies get. We would love to have you. Send you a little piece of merch too, T-Mac.
Hey,
you want that Phixated merch.
It sure does.
Greg, show him the hoodie.
I'll stand up and show him the hoodie.
Show him the hoodie.
Look at it.
T-Mac, we got it in red.
It's beautiful.
We got it in red.
We do.
We got it in red. I'll send you a hat.
Just saying.
Just saying, T-Mac.
I know you're fitting good in them polos. That Phixated polo is nothing to sniff at.
I'll send you and Johnny one.
There you go.
Both of you. We would love to have you on, all seriousness, T-Mac. So here's our plea to you. Hopefully we can get you on for a little bit. We would love that. That's how we're calling it a show, Regs. We'll go through our send-offs. But T-Mac,
we love you.
Do it. Do it. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you click subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube below. Make sure you follow us on all your podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow us. Rate us on there. Keep the ratings coming so jabronis like whoever was following me on Twitter that night doesn't say that our podcast is a joke, because we don't need that nonsense in our life.
He was just mad it was so good. He listened to one. He's like, damn.
Yeah, these guys know what they're talking
That's right.
about. Make sure you follow the podcast platform on Instagram at B&B Podcast. You can follow that on Twitter as well. Follow at the Phixated Pod on Twitter. You can follow me at the Mic Drop 5 and Regs at Big Regs with a Z. And of course, don't forget to go on to Facebook and follow the Phixated fan page, where I believe we're up over 110 now, Regs.
Love it.
The number game is growing.
moving.
And look, I know we just offered free stuff to T-Mac. I know we did. I get it. I'm not going to offer you free stuff right now. Kyle is the only one who gets a free
That's right.
Phixated merchandise piece, which will be coming your way soon, Kyle. Hopefully here before the holidays, it'll end up at your door. But guys, if you feel so inclined, please pop down to the merchandise link and order something for yourself or for a loved one at the holiday season. The more this podcast gets out there, the better. I had a couple people see me at a Barnes and Noble and ask me Send the link
to your wife or your husband. Have them get it for you. Have them buy you something for Christmas.
Yeah.
Q-zips, hoodies. Azzy's got the beanie on. We got, regular hats. We got koozies are coming. Like, the polos are fantastic. They're unbelievable quality Nike stuff. Like, all of it's fantastic. So go check it out.
So that'll be it for us tonight, guys. Super excited about the show. A lot of fun. Great time.
Good stuff.
We'll be back next week. If there's any breaking news in the world of Philadelphia Phillies,
we might jump on for an emergency pod.
Yes.
Now that
if Trey Turner is a Philly,
we're going to jump on to talk about that.
We're going to jump on and talk about that. There's no doubt we are stopping what we're doing.
That's right.
And talking about Trey Turner becoming a Philly. That being said, guys, have a great night. We love you. Be kind to someone. Be good. Be safe. Take care. Go Birds. But most of all, T-Mac, come on the show.
Have a good night, everyone. T-Mac, we love you.
Oh, my God. Deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.